Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Mama, it's those boys again. Episode 5 of the Holler Pod coming to you in a little different capacity today. As we mentioned at the end of last week's episode, we were able to track down a former Prestonsburg High School cheerleader and former UK cheerleader, Cheyenne Bustle, to kind of give us an exclusive interview on what it means to be a UK cheerleader, kind of what it takes, what that process looks like, and then her 2 cents on the big story that's in the news right now. So we want to give a huge shout out to her. Brian was able to track her down and kind of bring this to the forefront. So, Brian, what do you got to say about it?
Yeah, just again, thank her for hopping on here. Like, this was super random request, but she really came in clutch with us. It's really interesting to get her perspective on it as somebody that's gone through the whole process and was a cheerleader and a student, and she's from back home. So that's cool. Yeah, just thank her. Yeah. Enjoy.
These three hillbillies keep pulling the strings, man. Yeah. We made out all right. I keep telling Megan,
keep pulling the thread.
Eastern Kentucky rules the world. One day you will recognize.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, thank you to Cheyenne. We really appreciate it. And without further ado, we'll tee it up for you guys. So enjoy.
All right, guys. So today we're going to talk with Cheyenne Bustle. She's a UK cheerleading alum. Cheyenne, tell us, what years you were there, what titles you guys won, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I was on the team, made the team in 2014, cheered there 2015 through 17. So didn't cheer my senior year due to injuries and some personal stuff with school. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, so since you've been through all of this, can you talk a little bit about like how difficult it is to actually get on the team? Like, it's not a cakewalk. Like, not just anybody can do it.
Right. So to be on the team, first you have to attend clinics. It's like, an all-day camp. It's 2 days on the weekend. There's a fall clinic and a spring clinic. So I went, all my years through high school just for the exposure and the extra practice and stuff. But once you're a senior, you go, and the seniors that are on UK's team keep like a note card on them all weekend, and they just kind of like track your progress, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And then at the end of the weekend, they, go in a room and they talk about the note cards with the coach and, who they think will be a good fit for the team, who they think might not be as good of a fit, or, someone who they may call to try out like next year. Like maybe they just need
some improvement.
Yeah, definitely. And there's like all kinds of comments on the card like that, needs to get better at this. There's always like a reason. And they go over these cards at the end of the clinic. We all line up, all the seniors. And either Jomo or T-Lynn or one of the assistant coaches will have your card. You'll wait in line. When it's your turn, they tell you basically if you're invited to try out or not. So you have to get an invite. They tell you why you're invited if you are, and then why you might not be invited.
So it's like constructive. Like they're not just, it's not like just they're being mean or whatever. Like it's a competition.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's all constructive criticism, And sometimes it's hard for people to hear that stuff.
Yeah, because if you grow up not hearing that, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, so, it's definitely hard to hear constructive criticism sometimes, but, it's needed. It makes us better people and better athletes. Yeah. And that's what Kentucky's all about. Every year you're striving to get better. And they make that clear, before you're even a part of the team. They have like a mock tryout with you at clinic. They tell you everything that you're going to experience through tryouts and like have someone demo it for you so you know exactly what to expect. So the spring clinic is usually in April, and then tryouts are the first weekend of May. So trying out, it's it's a long weekend. It's a 4-day process. There's a cut each day. So at the end of the day, after you've gotten your chance to show all your tumbling skills, all your stunting skills with different partners, and just get to know people. At the end of the day, they'll post a paper like on the door, and you can come back. If your number is on it, you're good. You made it to the next round. If your number is not on it, then you're cut. So there's 2 days of mainly just getting your tryout stunts and tumbling skills together. You get to pick your partner, who you want to try out with. You have to do an elite stunt. You have to do a sideline cheer with a stunt and the fight song, and then a stunt where you do a heel stretch and then whatever dismount you want to get out of it. And then you also get to choose what way you get into it. This might be confusing for people that don't know cheerleading.
Yeah.
If you do, it'll make sense. But anyway, it's a lot is the point. And the third day, we have interviews. So we have a morning practice where you get to practice all your skills, and then you go home and you get ready. And basically, you wear a nice, like you would wear for a job interview, nice dress, hair, makeup done. And they call you one by one into a room where you sit on a stage in a chair in front of a table, and in the crowd in front of you is like 50 alumni. And in the front row is Jomo, T-Lyn, and the other assistant coaches. And then, all these people that you've watched cheer your whole life, all the people you wanted to be, they're staring you right in the face, and they can ask you anything they want. So it's the most intimidating.
That's intense. It really is.
It's so intimidating. And especially if you're if you have a fear of public speaking, it's terrifying. And you never know what they're going to ask you. You have to try out every single year. So even if you made it the first year, you have to go through that same process the next year and the next year and the next year.
Well, do you think that kind of adds to the success of the team? Having to try out every year, so everybody's having to be at the tip top of their level?
Definitely, because each year we get a new round of freshmen or just new people, not necessarily freshmen. People transfer, really talented people, and if someone's better than you, they will 100% take your spot. So you have to 100% always be improving and trying to get better, trying to get new skills, representing the team, the way that Jomo expects us to represent the team. There are people that get asked to not come back, if they think that you've slacked and maybe you've done some stuff that makes you not a good fit for the program anymore. They'll ask you not to come back and someone will take your place. But yeah, every year it's just as intimidating. I was just as nervous my freshman year trying out as I was my junior year.
Yeah. So talking about the whole incident that happened, somebody that didn't make a team or whatever, we kind of see that in society in general today with everybody gets a participation trophy, stuff like that. Do you think that that's going to have an effect? Because since this kind of thing has happened, like I said, at a big school like this, a very prestigious program, like you said, with 24 titles, do you think that that's going to be, there's a potential, I guess, for something like this to be more common, more mainstream now?
Yeah, definitely. We live in a society now where everyone's offended. Everyone is, just people don't raise their kids the same way anymore, basically.
Well, like we said, it's hard to hear constructive criticism, but you have to hear that to improve. If you don't improve, you're not really reaching the potential that you have.
So just a little backstory. So for people, because I know it's confusing to people who aren't familiar with Kentucky cheerleading. So there's a white squad and a blue squad. White squad mainly cheers women's basketball games, and they do all football games, volleyball games, and gymnastics meets. Blue squad does those same things, except they cheer men's basketball games instead of women's.
Yeah.
At some point in the season during competition, when Blue Squad has gone to nationals, we'll cheer. The White Squad will cheer the men's basketball games that they have to miss, and vice versa. When White Squad's gone to nationals, Blue Squad will cheer those women's games. But for the most part, Blue Squad cheers men's basketball games. They compete UCA nationals, and White Squad competes cheer sport nationals. So this particular girl who, her and her mom started all these allegations, she was on White Squad. And, I'm assuming, I don't know her personally, I've just heard things. She wanted to be on Blue Squad. Everybody wants to be on Blue Squad. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's the prestigious.
That's where you want to be. That's the ultimate goal. Sometimes you're not good enough. I was on White Squad for 3 years. I was not ever good enough for Blue Squad. There are many other people who were always on White Squad, but they didn't care, because it's not about being the best for everyone. It's just about being part of the program and part of the family, and being associated with Kentucky Cheerleading.
And you're still doing it at such a high level.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not like the female sports or anything like that. It's not like they're like pushovers. Like those are that's hard stuff.
And people that aren't educated on it, they think, oh, that's the bad team, that's the good team. No, like forever, there's been so many years where people have said, well, if Blue Squad and White Squad both competed at UCA nationals, they would take first and second place. And that is most likely true, in plenty of years. But like I said, some people, I guess, just when they don't get their way, they want to take people down with them. And it's heartbreaking. These are people's careers. These are their lives.
Yeah. Like they've spent so many years trying to build the program and have it to such a level.
Yeah. I mean, T. Lynn, our advisor, he's been the cheerleading advisor for 40 years. He is like the face of Kentucky cheerleading. He decided to retire when he heard about the allegations. He serves as an attorney for the university, and, I'm sure he couldn't be involved for the sake of his other job.
Yeah.
But, this investigation, I mean, it was 50 or so cheerleaders' words against one other cheerleader and her mom's, and
it's blown so out of proportion.
Yeah, and the articles and stuff, these investigators, like, they picked and chose what they want to include in the article and what they did not.
Well, we're seeing that a lot in news in general these days, too.
Oh, yeah. The media is, everybody.
Very biased.
Yeah, 100%. So, I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it, how it's possible that, these people who worked, two of them, the majority of their lives to build this program, lose their jobs because of one person and her mom's allegations towards them, with no proof, no physical proof whatsoever.
That's a shame, because like you said, these people have spent their lives building this program.
Yeah. I gotta grab my computer charger, so I'm gonna reel it. But do you care? Can I talk about the allegations?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can, like you said, if you want to talk about the retreat thing where all this happened, you said you want to talk about that. You can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah. So we have tryouts. You make the team. You have some time to rest, go home, be with your family. And then we have 2-a-day practices. Everybody knows what 2-a-day practices is. Practice 2 times a day. It's super intense. We run a mile before every practice. After you run your mile, you go straight in. You don't get water. You stretch, you put your tumbling shoes on, and you tumble. Yeah. Then you can get water, and then it's go time for 2 or 3 more hours. That's twice a day for 2 weeks.
And is this both White Squad and Blue Squad that do this?
Together.
So that's what I'm saying, earlier. It's not like you're at a lower level than the Blue Squad. You just did not fit that squad.
Yep. So we all do all of those practices together. At some point, when we start working on like stunts that we want to do for camp, which usually happens in the beginning of July or late June, we'll split up so that like the white squad faces this side of the room and the blue squad faces this side of the room. We're still in the same room. We're still stunning next to each other. Like, we are one big program. It's one big
Yeah.
camp. So we have, 2 days for those 2 weeks. You go home for a few weeks, be with your family, whatever. Then we come back. We have 2 days for camp. Same deal, except, we put together some pyramids and stuff because we compete at camp against other colleges. So we kind of prepare for that. But other than that, it's the same, practices. We go to camp. So this is where some allegations were made about something like, I think freaking Karen said that squad members made freshman squad members or younger squad members do, I think it's the only thing I can think is it'll be the fight song. And if you messed up, they had to take off their clothing.
Yeah.
I was not there. I mean, I cannot attest to what happened, but that's absolutely ridiculous.
It is.
Like I said, I have people, like friends who are on the team, and I would 100% know if something like that happened, I would have heard about it.
Yeah. Because like you said, it is a close-knit group of people.
Oh, yeah. Like we talk every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently that was said that happened. I know that's 100% not true. And then, so anyway, camp is like, bonding time. It's a fun time. You get to know other people from other schools. We compete. We usually win. I can't think of a time when we haven't won. Yeah, I don't know. We may have gotten second in a couple things, but usually, and that's for white squad and blue squad again. We compete different divisions at camp, but both of us usually come out on top. And then after camp, we usually get a couple weeks at home. I think it's usually like the first week of August is where we go to retreat. So this is where the allegations were made that apparently people were doing topless and bottomless baskets into the lake, and everybody was hammered. I don't know. So retreat, we take these buses down to the 4-H campsite at Lake Cumberland. There's been so many years we didn't have no air conditioner on the buses. Like, it's rough. We take the vans down there. We stay in these cabins.
It's not like a glamorous trip.
No. Oh, my God, no.
You're there to work.
Yeah. It's like literally team bonding. It's like 4-H camp, for real. So we stay in these bunk beds. There's bugs everywhere. Like, our favorite part, of course, is going to the lake. But we only go to the lake like a couple times. The majority of our time at retreat is spent in this cafeteria where we sit down at, the cafeteria tables like you have in elementary school. All in there, no makeup, no hair done. We're like 100% all real and natural with each other for the first time. Tryouts and all that, everybody's like makeup and hair done, and you're, putting on a presentation. Retreat is about getting real with everyone. We sit in there and we go over rules for the university and like documents that have been passed down since the 80s. Like, literally, they teach you like the foundations of Kentucky cheerleading. Like, That's cool. No tolerance for alcohol, no tolerance for drugs, no tolerance for bullying, hazing. The most important part of all that conversation is you are an ambassador for the university. When people think about Kentucky cheerleading, like, we are the first people that, the crowd sees in a basketball game, football game, volleyball, you're representing the university, and that's the whole point of the conversation. And we have these conversations and go over rules and absolute responsibility. That's the most important thing that T-Lyn and Jomo have ever taught me and everyone else who's ever been through the program. You're 100% responsible for yourself. Everything you do, that's on you. You don't get opportunities, you make opportunities. Like, that is the whole gist of that weekend. And we spend hours in that cafeteria going over these things. And we talk about the punishments. If you do get caught, with alcohol, or if you fail a drug test, all that kind of stuff. We talk about all the consequences, and they are strictly enforced. The rest of the time, we're playing team bonding games. I mean, typical stuff that you would do, like at 4-H camp. We go to the lake. We play kickball, that kind of stuff. But at the lake, we do baskets into the water. We're cheerleaders. We want to throw people and do cool stuff into the water, of course.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't know, if you've seen, there's a lot of videos floating around. People have posted themselves doing like a double back basket into the water, fully clothed in their swimsuit. No hazing is happening in the background. No alcohol is in the background. No one's wasted. Just proof of like, this is what retreat is. Like, these allegations are absolutely ridiculous. One of my former teammates, Kyle Still, he did like an Instagram live of, his perspective, his experience. And he talked about, every time that we were caught with alcohol, we were punished. I mean, we would run and run and run and run until you couldn't run anymore. There's severe punishment. There's no tolerance for alcohol, especially, when you're somewhere with the cheer team representing the university. If you are of age and you want to drink outside of your UK gear at your house, if you want to go out, that's fine. But, you can't associate it with the program. So, he kind of just talked about that, and it was a really good video. If anybody wants to watch it, Kyle's still on Instagram. He has it posted on his profile. But, he made some comments like, some people would go to the lake at night and go skinny dipping. Like, we're college
kids.
We're
college kids.
Well, also, like, we're all at least 18.
Yeah.
Like, that's our decision. And were the coaches there? No. Why do you think we were sneaking out at midnight out of the cabins? Like, so the whole thing is, the coaches were there, they were aware of it, and they did nothing. That's 100% untrue. When people do baskets, if they want to do a topless basket that, obviously they're going to do when the coaches aren't around, they do it when the coaches aren't around.
Yeah, for a reason.
And if you were involved in that, like, that's fine. That's your choice. But take responsibility for it. Like, if you're embarrassed about it, and I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if this Tylee girl, if she did that. But, if you did, take responsibility. You are an adult. The coaches were not there.
Yeah.
I assume that, they think we're adults. We can take care of ourselves. There's 40 plus of us out there together. But yeah, that's my whole take on it. It's just, these people who may have taken part in these activities, they're adults. They can take responsibilities for themselves, and to put it on the coaches is just ridiculous.
It's unfair too.
It's so unfair, Their
it's like
lives
a hit job.
Are ruined because of someone's
upset,
pissed because they weren't on Blue Squad and they didn't get to stunt at Cheer Sport with White Squad, and that sucks. But sometimes.
Well, and like you said, every year you get to try out.
Yeah.
So even if she didn't make it this year, there's always next year to take that time and get better to make a
Exactly.
better,
Exactly.
yeah.
And this particular girl, I'll say too, there's been numerous things posted on the internet about like people from her hometown giving their kind of 2 cents on her and her mom and how they've destroyed multiple cheer gyms that they've been a part of because of them making allegations about coaches because she didn't get her way. It's not just UK. She's done it multiple times before.
Do you think that something should be added, like as far as, like I said, or well, you said you have to go through this really stringent process where they pick you. Do you
Yeah.
think from this more, it's going to be even harder to get onto squads at certain schools, especially UK, but
Mhm.
other big name schools?
Yeah, I mean, we hear all the time, like, watch what you put on social media. People look at that for when you're interviewing for a job. Cheerleading coaches look at that stuff. Um, I'm assuming they had no prior knowledge of like her background, but I am sure they will definitely look
Now,
at
yeah,
that stuff now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another thing, do you think since like cancel culture and stuff is so prevalent right now that that's why this girl has been able to go, like you said, destroy several programs and now such a big prestigious program like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely suspicious to me that the allegations were made on February 3rd. The investigation has taken place during quarantine. Um, I mean, were people even, I know for a fact the whole team wasn't able to be investigated because they didn't get to everyone because of quarantine.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
is one thing that, definitely doesn't add up. How can you know, close an investigation when you haven't even investigated all the people involved? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well,
Um,
and what do you think about the reporting, like the original reporting on the whole thing? It was
yeah,
like, wasn't it like very skewed?
yeah. Well, the report also didn't make sense. I have the whole report with like
Yeah,
all the witnesses, everything. But the report where it was in quotes what Karen reported was not. It didn't even make sense because one, she said that retreat was in Tennessee. I think we all know that Lake Cumberland wasn't in Tennessee,
yeah,
and she probably couldn't remember how to put her story because retreat happens in August. It's February. Why
yeah,
are you making allegations now about how your daughter is traumatized, however many months later?
yeah,
And then the days before all of this like hit the internet and the article came out, she's posting videos of her daughter stunting and doing her skills in UK cheer attire like she's proud of it. If you
yeah.
were, that upset with the university and so traumatized, like why would you want to support UK cheer and like advertise it and leave it on your Instagram bio? It just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
that doesn't. Do you think this is kind of like an attention move? Like, look at me, look at me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, according to people that she's known her whole life, it's always been that way for her.
Yeah.
If she's
So
not,
she was just used to getting the attention and she didn't get it, so
yeah.
she's playing a
And,
baby move.
and I think, like us from a small town, every small town has one. Every small
Yeah.
town,
Yeah.
they do. And every sports team, like, has that kid that
Yeah.
their parent
100%.
is upset when they don't get to play first base. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
everywhere.
and again, at like such a high level, you can't
Yeah.
have people like that. You can't.
Yeah. I
It's
don't, I
it's
don't
a shame. It really
understand.
is a shame that the whole thing happened to the program because that's like I said, that's like some of the winningest coaches in the history of UK.
They are like
That's huge.
the most influential people in cheerleading. I said they've been here for so many years. Um, I can't preach enough like how much that they have had an influence on me and like the person that I am now. And I know that every alumni that came before me agrees. We have a Facebook page, the University of Kentucky Cheerleading Alumni. And there is like, I think there's over 500 members.
Wow.
And like at least 500 of us have signed petitions and told our stories and, can just attest to the things that Jomo and Teelan did for us and how they made us better people, not just better athletes. They're not the type of people that would turn their head if hazing was happening, if, alcohol was involved. Like, they would not turn their heads to that. And I know because I've been there. I've ran for that. That's the reality. And I don't understand how, people would take this girl and her mom's word over,
so many others.
500 alumni. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, and like you said, the investigation was closed before they even investigated all the parties involved.
Yep, exactly.
That is super weird.
Yeah. And I know some of the current cheerleaders who were involved in the investigation, they've only been able to say so much because of legal stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not educated on that, but they want to tell their stories and they want to tell exactly what happened. And I know from them that they have jumped the investigators' throats because they have twisted their words and picked and chosen what they want to
publish
out there for people to see. Yeah, and it's full of half the truth. That is just the best way to put it. So
that seems to be the case for journalism as a whole, kind of today.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so before we go, I have to know, is there any truth to the fact that you have to have a certain shoe size or be a certain height or weight before you can be on the team?
That's not true. So, I mean, if you just think about cheerleaders, we have to be thrown in the air.
Yeah.
You have to be able to stand on people's hands. So obviously you want to be fit. If you're shorter, it's easier to throw and do stunts with you. You're most likely better at tumbling. That's the reality of it. But is there a cutoff of you're 5 foot, you can't make the team, or you're 110 pounds, no, you're cut? No, that's not a thing.
Okay, well, that's one of those things, that people say.
Definitely, I've had so many people ask me, "Oh, your friend, she looks a little bit tall. How did she make the team?" And yeah, that's totally not true.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Cheyenne. This is cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.